Hello guys, how are you? And welcome to the video number 1 for our week 7. Hope everything is going well on your side. Hope everything is going fine. Any problems or troubles you may have, I expect you've been able to handle it and deal with that. Well, I would like to start by reminding you that this is the final week before our test. We're going to have our midterm test, um, or the evaluation number 1, on the week number 8, right? So this is the final week before that. Reason why I'm going to remind you to verify all the previous topics that we had, to sort of revise any concepts, procedures, components that we may have sort of advanced with in the semester, because most likely you are going to require that in order to face the challenge of the evaluation in a successful way, right? Um, Also, something really important is the book. You're supposed to have read the book by half already. We're in the half of the, half of the semester, in the middle of the semester. In order to successfully face the evaluation, you are going to need to read this book or literary work that you're reading, at least by the middle of it. Okay, so take that into account. I also want to tell you that we are going to have a synchronic meeting this week number 7. I think we're going to have it on Wednesday on the regular schedule of the class. And this is basically to talk about the evaluation, some of the conditions of the evaluation. We're going to deal with times, deadlines, and well, some other things. So if you have any question or proposal, please bring it that day, because it will be really important. Okay. Very well, so I'm going to start as usual by sharing with you a poem. This time is by Homero Aritis. This is a Latin American poet, and the name of the poem this time is Tercer Poema de Ausencia. Tú has escondido la luz en alguna parte y me niegas el retorno. Sé que esta oscuridad no es cierta, porque antes de mis manos volaban las luciérnagas. Y yo te buscaba y tú eres tú, y éramos unos ojos en un mismo lecho, y nadie de nosotros pensaba en el eclipse. Pero nos hicimos fríos y conocidos, y la noche se hizo inaccesible para bajarla juntos. Tú has escondido la luz en otros ojos, porque desde que ya no existes, nada de lo que está junto a mí amanece. I really like it. It's really deep, at least in my opinion, and it's interesting how it shows, under my interpretation, the story of a couple that used to be happy, that used to be great and lovely, and that used to share a lot of different things. But eventually, routine came in, inertia, and it was difficult to keep up, right? And apparently, they started setting apart. And well, it is implied that apparently this girl is with somebody else already, and that is why the light that was providing to the guy is no longer available, right? So I think that in a really short span of time, it communicates many things. I really like it because of it. It's sad, but really meaningful. Okay, guys. We're going to work this final week before the exam with something that is quite important, that is punctuation. So we're going to jump forward in the enumeration that you have on the slides, on the presentation, and we are going to the slide number 44. Okay, so please open the presentation, go over there, and we're going to deal with a couple of these punctuation marks. Some of the other ones we will deal with them in the future. but this week we're going to deal at least with two of them, okay? So first of all, let's think about the definition and the use of punctuation, right? So if we take a look at the definition that is over there in the slide, it says that punctuation is a system of symbols that we use to separate written sentences, and parts of sentences. Let's stop in there a minute, okay? So first of all, let's think about them as symbols. We very commonly forget that actually all writing is composed by symbols, right? Let's say our letters in the alphabet, A, B, C, D, etc. We forget very frequently that they are actually drawings. Yes, they are some, let's say, images that represent something, in this case sounds, phonemes, and things like that. So they are part of a graphic system, right? Of course, normally we say sometimes that it doesn't have any drawings, it's just a book with text, but we forget that originally that is also some sort of picture, right? Well, punctuation specifically, it's set apart from from these alphabetic things, and actually it sort of provides some different let's say meanings or have different functions, yes. And let's say that one of them over here is that they separate written sentences or parts of sentences. So of course this is a very generic definition. Not always we're dealing with separation. Sometimes they have some other functions, but initially that is the one that we're going to explore, the separation, right? And then it says, and to make their meaning clear, right? So that is another thing. Each symbol is called a punctuation mark. We're going to treat this more deeply in the future. Hopefully, if we can see each other again in formas discursivas, it will be a pleasure and an honor for me. We normally discuss many of the things that we discuss in composition at a deeper level, more profound, let's say more linguistically implied. What I can tell you for now is that normally punctuation imitates the oral discourse, right? Those little things that we have over there, commas and periods and brackets and dashes and slashes and things like that, they normally imitate what we would do in oral discourse. Yes, it's just a way to present it in the written discourse. Okay, very well. So let's deal with the first one that we have over here. That is the period. Yes, this is known as the period or the full stop. Let's go to the slide number 45. And here we have a pretty basic example. Yes, you see in the chart that we have over there that it says I like English. Period. That's it. Yes. So I know that most of us or most of you know let's say a particular use to it, and it's mostly the first one, the one that we're going to check, right? It says use full stop at the end of a sentence. So normally when you have already finished your sentence, when you want to close the meaning of such sentence, and there is nothing else later on that is associated specifically to that sentence, you put a full stop or you put a period, right? So let's take a look at the example. There are two of them over there. It says the man arrived, period. He sat down, period. Okay, pretty simple. I think that this is the way in which we have use it traditionally. Of course, these are some examples, and we are going to see that that is not the only option, right? For example, I could interrupt that sentence with an and, right? The man arrived and he sat down. In that case, I will have to eliminate the capital letter in he. For example, I could include a comma if I am going to say something additional in the end. But let's say that for the example, it is, simple enough. It doesn't really have a lot of complications in there, right? Well, let's take a look at a second and third use that are, let's say, really important over here. Yes. So in the number 2 it says useful stops with abbreviations. Okay. In an abbreviation, the last letter of the word and of the abbreviation are not the same. Okay. Very important. Let's read again if it's necessary. Yes. So you can understand exactly what we mean. The first example that we have over there is co, period, C-O, period, in order to abbreviate company, right? But there is like a warning somehow of how to use it, yes, in abbreviations. It said, okay, we use it with abbreviations. All of these are examples. CO, period, company, EDC, period, that's etc. And period, and period, P period, member of parliament, right? It says in this case like this. It says in an abbreviation, the last letter of the word and of the abbreviation are not the same. Okay, so what does it mean? I want you to let you process yourselves. Do you understand this indication that is given to you? Yes. So let's do it little by little. It says in an abbreviation, the last letter of the word and the abbreviation are not the same. So what is the last letter of the word in this case? So the last letter of the word in the first word, it will be company. Yes. So the last letter will be Y. So if you are going to put CO, that is not equivalent to the last letter. That is why you put a period. Yes. Let's go with the second one. The full word is etc. The last letter is A. Yes. So if you want to make it shorter, to abbreviate it, it is possible. It is okay because you put ETC, right? And C is not the last letter of the word, so it's okay to put the point, to put the period, right? Then the final one, it's M period, P period. So if the last letter of member is R, so if you want to abbreviate it as an M, it is okay. Yes. The last letter of parliament is T, so if you want to abbreviate it, it's okay. You can put the period over there. Now, in which cases you do not use full stop? Yes. So the last letter of the word and the contraction are exactly the same. So let's take a look at the example in the number 3. It says, for example, limited. Yes, limited. That is the original long word. I am going to abbreviate it. Yes. If I abbreviate it as LTD, yes, you can see in the example over there, LTD, the last letter of the word is the same than the long word. Limited, and the abbreviations finish in LTD, right? So in that case, it's not necessary to put or to include the period. We have also, for example, doctor, right? I abbreviate it as DR over there, doctor. So in those cases, it is not necessary to include the period. Why? Because the last letter of the word is the R, and that is the way in which we abbreviate it, doctor. Finally, if I can see properly over here, saint, for example. Yes, saint. And in that case, the last letter of the word is saint. Yes, the T. So it's not necessary to abbreviate, to include the period in the abbreviation ST. Okay? Hopefully it's clear. right? So for example, if I am going to abbreviate the word or the expression um, anonymous society, yes. So if I want to abbreviate that with a s, is it necessary to include the dots or not? AS, think about it. It's necessary to do it with dots, with periods? Yes, of course, because the final words of the first one, for example, anonymous, it doesn't end in S, the abbreviation, so it would be A, yes. And society finishes in Y, so you can put it in that way. A, or period S. Think about, for example, United States of America, the typical USA. So does it have periods? Yes or no? Think about it. Tell me, yes or no? Sure, it does. One more time. The first one, United, finishes in D. So the abbreviation USA requires a dot, a period after the U, and then States, and then America. In that case, it will include like all the other ones, right? So hopefully it is clear. Let's say it is not a really complicated thing over here. So that would be, just fine. And we don't really like require to think a lot. Let's say that we have the advantage of, for example, when writing on the computer, the fact that we can use that automatically sometimes. Many word processors, such as Word in Windows and some other systems, they normally predict certain things, so they help us to correct. But it's important to know the rule, because sometimes people use it completely incorrectly. You will see like many contradictions to this rule. Like, you can tell the teacher, but I saw it in a song, in a movie, and they use, for example, a period with doctor. Sure, but that is not the way in which, let's say, the rule is proposing us to do. Okay? Very well, guys. So I'm going to leave this video over here with the first punctuation mark, that is the period. And I will start another one with the comma that has a lot of different things to be studied. Okay? Apparently, we use the comma just for a particular reason, but it has many more like iterations or ideas related to it than the period or the full stop that we have just mentioned. There are like only 3 cases that basically the number 2 and the 3 are more or less the same. So it's not really problematic, right? But let's take a look at the comma. So we will discuss a little bit more about it in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. Hugs.